This is PRMG in the moment. Paul Aceto here with Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, otherwise known as PRMG. And today we are at our third day of the annual leadership conference here at the beautiful Marquis Hotel. Actually, it's called the Marriott Marquis Hotel in beautiful downtown San Diego. There's a great view outside, and I'm with a very, very special guest. I'm with Chief Lending Officer and partner of Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, Mr. Kevin Peranio, otherwise known as KP. How you doing, KP?
Good to be here, brother.
It's good to see you, brother.
Thank you for having me, of course.
Of course. So Kevin, look, I've had a few interviews going over the last couple of days, and this is really kind of your event. I know Chris has been the Master of Ceremonies. In your own words, just kind of give us a little idea of what this event's all about, and then, of course, you could dovetail into why people should attend and perhaps why it might be good for a new branch manager.
Sure. So this is focused on the retail channel. We are a 3-channel lender. We're built by originators for originators. And so we touch base with our originators, our branch managers, and retail twice a year. One at the sales rally, which is typically the first week after Super Bowl Sunday every year. And the leadership conference is for branch managers and production managers around the country at our over 250 branches that are deeply rooted in our communities. And so it's typically the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after July 4th holiday.
That's right.
But obviously COVID blew that out last year and even a little bit this year. So here we are, right after Labor Day weekend, and Shana Tova, for those of you that are celebrating Rosh Hashanah. Right. We are here in the beautiful marina of San Diego. So we always like to pick a nice spot. So we did, Temecula Ponte Winery and South Coast and just some beautiful places. And now we're here in San Diego. And I wish people could see outside this door, the view that we've got in this hotel room that we're doing this interview that I didn't even know I was doing until 5 minutes ago.
That's okay, but he's a good improviser, so. So you bring up a good point. We did change locations this year. And another thing I just want to touch on, and I know that our CEO doesn't want to consider it as a celebration, which I totally understand where he's coming from, but this is 2 full decades of PRMG.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. I mean, that's pretty impressive for any company in any industry. Certainly the restaurant business, but to be an independent mortgage banker, to have the financial strength and the sustainability and growth, not just because of refi booms, but consistent, constant growth, is pretty impressive. And Paul Rozo and Robert Holliday, they founded the company literally 20 years ago, right in the midst of 9/11, when that was happening. And I personally joined the industry for another company in Austin, Texas, in April of 2001. So, my career is kind of, kind of coincide together with the time history of PRMG. But I've been here now 11 years.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, 11 years in October coming up. So I'm really, really thankful to see the ownership just stand the test of time.
That's a great. That is such a great segue. For me, it's been about a little over 11 years myself, but I do want you to know I've actually known this fine gentleman for a long time. I mean, probably close to almost 20 years, or is that a bit exaggerated?
No, sir. I mean, certainly when we started doing the NAM events in 04, 05, 06, the national events is where we would get on that national stage. You were West Coast, I was in South Florida. We're from Texas to South Florida. And
that's right. We met at the Ventana Resort. I believe that's the first actual time I saw you in person, but man, this guy was lighting the world on fire and is still lighting it up on fire. For those of you that may not know, I'll sing some of his praises. He's online 24/7 around the clock. I mean, if you guys are not following him on LinkedIn, I will tell you should, because he puts out amazing content, has his pulse on the industry, and I learn a lot from him, and it is absolutely a pleasure to be part of this company with you, brother.
I appreciate that, and not trying to make this about me, but the reason I do those videos on behalf of leadership and PRMG. I do talk as myself because I do espouse some opinions that are my own, but I think it's emblematic of why we're here this week. It's about leadership, and I'm growing and learning to be a leader every day. I'm not a perfect leader and I'm always challenged and always trying to rise to those challenges. But it was very interesting to see that, after the recession and the pandemic hit, in March of 2020, people didn't know what was going on. Yeah. And people looked to leadership at that time, yes, at their respective companies. And not just at that time, but I've noticed a lot on social media, which isn't always a barometer of good or bad leadership, but leaders at all companies had to really step up and communicate with their teams and their companies. And we have 2,900 employees at PRMG.
It's unbelievable.
And people were looking at their rate sheets and seeing products disappear and rates disappear and what's going on. And I'm reading about margin calls. Is PRMG going to be all right? What's going on? We rocked it. We've been saving for 2 decades, basically. At that point, just 19 years, but we were ready for that moment. Paul, Robert, Gary, and myself had been through a similar event, with 07 and 08 and the crash. And so it was good to communicate what we were thinking. And then for me personally, I just felt like there was such a vacuum out there, yes, in social media. There's an older leadership that's very invisible and very secretive about what they're doing. But we're just doing mortgages, right? And so at the end of the day, really the thing that separates our companies and the channel mix and everything, it's not the technology, it's not the portfolio, it's not which hedge fund backed your company. It's the leadership. It's the people. And people follow strong leadership, authentic, transparent leadership, open, honest leadership that doesn't have ulterior motives. And you can feel it when someone's trying to game you or pay you for your production or just get you on board. Right. But do they answer your call? Are they there? Are they available on Christmas Eve? Can you help structure a deal and get that loan done that a realtor is breathing down your neck for? And call ownership, by the way. Even at a company of 2,900 employees, can you get things like that done that that matter to you and your community? And I think that leadership and those qualities that, again, we're all learning every day.
100%.
We're trying to share our experiences and our thoughts here at this leadership conference this week, so our retail leadership can go back to their teams and then communicate that and then build their communities even stronger.
Wow, that was powerful. And that speaks to what we always talk about. We have an earned culture in this company. It's been demonstrated over and over by the behaviors, the actions and behaviors of our employees, of our leaders, trickling right down to spills into all the employees. And what KP said is absolutely 100% true. I mean, that's why someone like me is still here, because I believe in the company, I believe in the leadership. These guys.
Well, you're a pretty good chief marketing officer too.
I'm not too bad at it.
I mean, you're a Housing Wire acclaimed CMO.
Oh,
I mean, you're like a top marketer. So give yourself some credit. You stand the test of time as well.
I have a little bit, But anyway, brother, I really appreciate that. And look, any other closing thoughts that you might have? I mean, you just absolutely put it straight out there. So
yeah, I mean, again, when it's hard to use the words culture and leadership when you're talking about culture and leadership. Mm-hmm. And so I know we're just trying to communicate some of those ideals here. Mm-hmm. But again, like you said, it's earned. You have to feel it. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that you work for someone that you can trust? Do you feel that you work for someone that's honest and transparent
100%.
And tells you exactly what they're thinking, and then going to lead you to the path and the goals that you personally want to achieve? I think that's what matters, and I think PRMG is as strong as any group out there. I don't want to say the best, because then it sounds like you're trying to sell, but obviously we're here and we believe in it.
I have to tell you, I want to add one little thing to what he's saying. We were talking about, he talked earlier about going through 2020, which you've heard me talk about before. I know that our chief executive officer, founder, Paul Rozo, always says a rising tide lifts all boats. And yes, there were a lot of boats that rose during 2020, but I say this, how we navigated those uncharted waters. Mm-hmm. We leveraged it and we did very, very well. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is also credited to the fact that, like he said, we were already teed up to go through that from 19 into 20. Brilliantly, if I might add.
Well, speaking of the word brilliant, our chief strategy officer and capital markets officer, Gary Malice, he's one of our 4 partners here. Mm-hmm. He really helped us navigate through that. And we basically 10x'd our servicing portfolio.
That's amazing.
And if you look at the last refinance boom, that tide that rises the boats and the ships, after 08 and 09, companies that we'd never heard of became market leaders, became top 10 lenders. It was after the refi boom. It was after they set their capacity at a high level, after they had raised up their portfolios and their teams and grown. We're the largest and strongest and leanest and meanest we've ever been, and we're ready for anything that's going to come at us. Purchase market, margin compression, fintech disruption, it doesn't matter. We have the best people leading this ship, and I don't care what happens with the tide, but we're ready to sail.
Right on, bro. We care for sure. Well, Bud, I have to tell you, that was amazing, and I'm just gonna, I know you have a lot to go back to do. He's been on stage himself and helping our Master of Ceremonies navigate the remaining days. So
Chris has done such a wonderful job. I mean, this is his element. You know, our retail channel director.
Best orator,
this guy is the most humble servant leader there is.
Oh my God.
And he puts it all out there, and gosh, what a great conference.
That is, and that's a high compliment coming from Kevin. So, all right, guys. Well, you know what, Kevin? It has absolutely been a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to serve with you. And again, this is Paul Aceto, and I will see you in the next PRMG in the moment.